Okay, as an extrovert with social anxiety, here are some conversation starters that have worked really well for me, both in the States and here in Spain, where I'm on the Camino as a pilgrim. Um, so, first is just where you're from. Turns out, even if it's obvious, people are still willing to answer. Like, I'm in Spain. Almost everyone here is from Spain, and there's only a handful of people dressed like pilgrims, like me, because we're just wearing like not as nice clothes because we didn't pack much. But yeah, you ask them where they're from, and it's like, oh, what region is that in, or what city? Like, or like I would even tell them like, I like geography, but I don't know everything about it, and I'll ask them, oh, like I'm not great with geography. Could you like, where on the map is that? And then it's like, oh, is that near this country? It's like, oh, are you from that region? Are you descended? Like, is that your ethnicity? Like here, Basque Country is sort of like a place I've met a lot of people from, even though I'm on the other side of Spain. So asking people where they're from. It's also like, there's been a lot of grapevine going on here. So like one person you'll meet someone at one point in the Camino, and then you'll meet someone else later that you've heard about. And you're like, oh, I've heard about you. Like word on the street is you're an author, right? And it's like, and they're like, oh yeah, who'd you hear that from? Or yeah, I guess so. Like, and then you ask some more questions about it, like, what did you write? What are you working on? Like, what would you say is your favorite genre? Like, even dumb questions can lead to better conversation after a while. Like, I've been trying to get out of my shell more. It's like last night I made a goal, like I was at a concert and I was like, I'm going to introduce myself to two people, and one of them, I was like, hey, you look American but you dance like you're Spanish. Where the heck are you from? I was probably stupid, but it worked in the sense that like we were at least talking after that. So yeah, turns out dumb things, there's like fairly low consequence to at least starting the conversation. And I've had all sorts of crazy shit happen where people have started like learning about Trump and COVID and stuff. And you know what? Conversation's a conversation. You can take it however you want to after that. You can also shut it down if you need to and go about your life, because I have also run into a fair few people that I'm like, I don't want to keep talking. I've got something else to do. Or you try and change the subject. That's for another day. Yeah, another one that works really well is, what do you call it? Oh, like asking for directions to something. Or asking advice. Like I go around here and like even when I was living in Germany, it was just like everywhere I went, even if I knew how to get there, I was like, oh, how do you get there? And some people are, more forthcoming with information than others if they, what do you call it? But like you ask them like, oh, are you from around here? Like after they answer, like what would you recommend for this restaurant? And things like that. Or like, what's cool to do in this city? Oh, what did you think of it? Like, and then ask for like more details about that. Even people in your local town. And that's something I want to do more when I get back. Just like ask people about the things in the town I grew up in. It turns out I didn't actually experience all that much of them. And also like there are people from everywhere. And especially in the US, a lot of people travel or migrate a lot. So you can ask them, hey, where are you from? And then chances are you'll have something in common with them. Like, oh, really? I'm from a small town too. I'm from a big city. I'm from this city. How do you think it compares to where you used to live? Or why'd you never leave? Anyway, you crack in, like, not anything too deep. You don't need to like tap into religion and politics and stuff at the onset. But you can definitely ask them things about like some of the life decisions they make. Like, why did you choose a career path? Is something I ask a lot. How did you get interested in it? Or they mention like, I'll ask them, oh, like, what are you working on right now? And it's like, oh, why did you choose that? But as a lot of good conversations start with a question. Most like 90+% of them. And also after doing a ton of interviews, I always start with like, oh, hey, what's your background? How'd you get interested in this thing? Because like I always tell people, if you're looking for a conversation starter, you always have at least one thing in common with the person you're about to start a conversation with, and it's that you're both in the same place. So ask them why they came. Or, are you looking for the bathrooms too? Oh, cool. I'm trying to find them, whatever. It's like literally dumb stuff like that. And some of it doesn't turn into conversations, but a lot of it does. And whether or not the other person's enjoying the conversation, if it's really that bad, they'll pull out. So don't worry about it. But it'll give you more practice, for sure. Like, the more practice I've gotten, the more, like, my conversations wind up continuing. And remembering something about people from your first conversation definitely helps you pick it up again later. So, like, last night I even went to a guy after I had asked him for directions earlier at the concert, and I saw him, and I was like, oh, so where are you guys all staying? Like, are you all part of the same group? How'd you find out about this thing? And just like simple things like that. And the last little bit of advice, don't ask people's names, especially not at the beginning of a conversation. It's like, what do you call it? I'll have someone be like, oh, where are you from? That's like the best question. Especially on the Camino, I'll say, are you a pilgrim? And or I'll ask where you're from. And these questions will eventually come up. Like, why are you doing the Camino? Where did you start? Why did you start there? What's your motivation? Why a lot of people are traveling without their spouse here? Why aren't they here? Things like that. Like, what major thing in life are you going through right now? Because it seems like everyone's going through something, and you guys kind of laugh about it. And even if it's awkward at first, it tends to iron out or dissipate, so you don't really have to worry about it. But yeah, don't ask people's names until after you've had a little bit of banter, because it's kind of pointless and it's a little too forward. And I had wondered that for a long time, like, why do we never ask people's names when we open? Like, you can't just stick your hand out and be like, hi, I'm Alex, tell me about your life. It's sort of like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? Like, small-ish talk, and then you find out a little bit about their life, and then, like, a lot of times it's when I'm leaving, I'm like, oh, by the way, what was your name? And then they're happy to give it. Like, oh, what was yours? Or, you ask for contacts. Sometimes people will give you fake numbers. I don't think I've had that happen before, but like some of them, you want to ghosted, whatever. But yeah, you have that intro conversation, be like, oh, and sometimes it helps to like have a shortened version. You're essentially like, oh man, I have to run, but it was cool meeting you. Can I like exchange numbers and we'll talk again sometime? Or like, hey, what are you doing Tuesday evening, kind of thing. So yeah, so friendly advice, things that have worked. It helps get out of your shell, and like meeting new people is very cool because they always know something you don't, and they'll take you to cool things you wouldn't imagine. Like, I just asked for someone for help at we were at this bullfighting thing a few cities back, and then 30 minutes later they came back to me and they're like, hey, we were thinking we're going to a party after this, you want to come? It's like, damn, I thought this only happened in movies. But yeah, so there's plenty of things out there to do with all these people you're about to meet. Good luck.